Picture It Los Angeles 2025.
Oh, hi, and welcome to Out on the Lanai, the only Golden Girls podcast you're ever gonna need to listen to. I'm HAlanScott / Sadie Pines.
I'm Kerri Doherty with a little bit of a cold, so really I'm Kathleen Turner.
Ooh, which Kathleen Turner from Body Heat? Kathleen Turner from what's another what Peggy Sue Got Married? What's more Serial Mom?
I was going to say Kathleen Turner from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but I think Serial Mom might be more appropriate for this podcast.
Pussy Willows.
Oh, goodness. We are off and running. Today, we are bringing you another Golden Rewind where we go back and rewatch our favorite episodes of The Golden Girls and offer new insights since we first started breaking down these podcasts way back in 2014. And it's time to put on something attractive and rubber and head on down to the sperm bank because we just rewatched season 5, episode 3, The Accurate Conception.
Oh, what a good episode. What a fun episode. I'm so glad you chose this one. And I'm so glad that you did because we haven't seen each other for weeks because we both were traveling for weeks. And so we
traveling
pre-recorded.
And pre-recorded. And then thank you all for your patience for us taking last week off. It just
was too much.
Physically could not make it work with our schedules. So
yeah, I mean, I was in New York and you were, I don't know where you were because you were in a few places.
I was in New Jersey and Massachusetts.
Yeah,
and coming back. Yeah,
it just was a lot of things, and so we just couldn't do it. But we're so glad to be back together now.
I'm so glad to be back together. I picked this episode because I realized as I was kind of looking through the episodes, I really like the arc that this Becky and Blanche have on the show. I kind of consider Deborah Engel's Becky as like a restart for Becky. R.I.P. I know. And she's so good.
She is so good. I mean, no shade to first Becky, who we love.
Oh, I love Sean Sheps.
Sheps
they're just two different Beckys.
She's a legend, Sean Sheps. You need to Google her. You need to listen to our episode with Sean. We need to have Sean back on the podcast. But this Becky, Deborah, is just...
Like I said, it feels like a totally different character, which I love because I think Sean Sheps as Becky #1 was so perfect for that role and for that story. This time around, this Becky, she's way more confident. So you could argue that
Ozempic, she just looks and feels different, but yet still the same Becky.
And if you think about the the parent adult child arcs that they have on this show, this one with Blanche and Becky, I mean, we do get one with Michael and Dorothy, I guess, but this one I really love because it comes full circle. And so I just quickly want to talk about the sort of the Becky Blanche arc because I forgot that it came full circle in the Golden Palace.
Yeah.
So in this first Becky #2 appearance, this is the episode we're going to talk about where Becky wants to be impregnated using IVF and a sperm donor, and Blanche struggling to deal with that. Ew, which I have thoughts on that, but it was the time. Yeah. And then in Blanche Delivers, we have Blanche once again struggling with Becky having her own opinions because Becky wants to, give birth at a birthing center instead of a hospital. And then with even Grandma's Get the Blues, we see Blanche struggling with her age and being a grandmother. And then I had totally forgotten that it all kind of comes full circle on the Golden Palace because in the season finale, the chicken and the egg, Blanche's boyfriend wants her to carry his child using IVF. And she gets advice from Becky.
Yeah. Full circle.
Beautiful full circle moment.
Full circle moment. I love that. I love Blanche and Rue McClanahan in this episode. I love that balance between talking about something very modern like IVF and the daughter wanting to do it her own way and very, very Look Who's Talking. I mean, Look Who's Talking had just come out when this episode came out. So it was very...
that's so funny.
So it was very in terms of women in female stories, female-led stories in films and television, women having babies on their own Baby Boom was one. Look Who's Talking was one. There just weren't that many examples of sort of like single mothers that were positive, I'll say. Like there were examples of single mothers that were struggling. It was so hard, or they had been divorced or whatever, but not many stories of single moms who just were actively choosing to be single moms. You know what I mean? And
I love that. And I love it for Becky in this episode because, Blanche keeps saying like, well, what if the perfect man comes? And she was like, what if he doesn't? And she's like, no man's going to want to marry you if you have a kid. She's like, I don't even want to get married.
Yeah.
I love that Becky knows exactly what she wants for herself. She's not letting her mother pressure her into doing anything differently. And all she wants is her mom's support and love.
And she's not going to be, which is to me, this is like the queer side of it. She's not going to be dictated by society to how she's going to live her life. She's going to live her life in the timeline that is meant for her, meaning she's going to have a kid when she wants. She's going to do the things. She's going to have a career when she wants. She's going to do the things that she wants at her own pace, not by at the pace that like the world says she's supposed to have it, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. I love it.
But what I also love is that like it brings into the other girls in this episode, and the conversation around it is very normal, because for people who live who take the unusual path, the not traditional path, if you will, you are constantly surrounded by people who are saying, do you really want to do that? Is that really the thing? Is that really what or people are going to say it, at stores or whatever it is. Like people are going to have opinions because most people subscribe to the traditional path. That's why it's traditional. But when you go in a different direction, you do have to deal with, like the girls are doing, that it's gross or that it's icky or that what are you going to do if you meet someone, or like they're thinking in a very traditional, practical way, which I think is also really good for this story because that is something that's very relatable.
And you know what else? It's always going to take the first person to do it, because I just want to talk about paths for a second. When I was a kid, there was a way to get to my best friend's house, and it was to walk down the street and up a street and down a street. And we finally just started cutting through Ben Hazen's backyard. And you just go through the yard, you go through the yard, you go through the yard. Over the years, so many of us had walked through the yard. It made a literal path.
But you ruined other people's lawns for your own convenience.
Yes, but it was worth it, because this is really help illustrating my story.
So I didn't have to pay for it.
No, because we formed the path. It was a bunch of people walking in the same direction in the same space, and that's exactly what Becky's doing. By Becky deciding to have a child this way, she is forming a path. Other people do it, and then that becomes what's traditional.
Yeah, but she's not ruining other people's properties, Kerri Doherty.
I mean, look, at any time they could have told us to stop.
I know I would, if I lived in the suburbs and like there were kids and I was like the one house that didn't have kids or whatever, and I saw kids walking all over my lawn and my begonias or whatever they're called, like I would definitely be yelling out. I'd be the Boo Radley. I'd be yelling out the window, get off my lawn.
When I say Ben Hazen's house, he was one of the kids in the neighborhood. He wasn't the parent. He hung out with us. He was doing it too.
He didn't pay for the grass restoration. He didn't pay for any of that. The mom did.
I'll tell you what. You know what's really sad is that now there is no path, because all of us kids are grown. We have kids of our own. None of us live there anymore. People die. There is no path. So we forged a path, and then it was overgrown by healthy grass. So that's a real tragedy.
You just made it a true crime story. I love this story. I love this episode. I love Becky number 2. I love Becky number 1. I love all of the sperm jokes. I love all of the sticky spermy. I love Rose's story about the swimmer and how Rose could just not, because the woman in her town literally was just loose and had sex with someone else and got pregnant, but yet that's not even discussed. It's just implied. I love the fact that Sophia is a naughty little girl talking about all her sexual adventures in this episode. I mean, Sophia had a kink where she laid on a bed in a baseball hat naked and just let him do whatever he wanted. Like, this is hot. Like, this is stuff. This episode is the OnlyFans episode of Golden Girl.
It kind of is. Yeah. There were a lot of jokes. I also, like you, I love, and she made it so believable. Rose. Rose thinking that sperm could swim like across the ocean, up a stream, make its way to Minnesota. That makes me laugh so hard.
Yeah, it is just such a funny episode. But Kerri, what are we doing on the Le Pates today?
Yes. Before I get to it, if anybody hears banging, I just want to say they're doing work next door and it's very close and it's pipes that are connected to my pipes. So if anybody hears banging, it's not anything I have control over. Do you
like
hear any banging?
I mean, I haven't really heard anything, but that's like a song. Pipes that are connected to my pipes.
Yeah, they're pipes that are connected to my pipes, but I'm not doing the banging.
Oh.
Yep. So yes, this week on the Rusty Anchor Happy Over. Oh, wow. See, I do have a cold. On the Rusty Anchor Happy Over hour over on Patreon. We're a little behind on this because the finale aired a second ago, but you and I are both obsessed with Traitors.
Oh my God, I have so many stories to you know what? I'm not going to say it on air, but I have some drama to spill about this season of Traitors. I'm just going to say it right now. You can
This upcoming season or this latest season?
This last season.
Yeah, Traitors. Well, you know people, that's why.
I know them, unfortunately.
You know people. So we'll talk about that, I guess, whatever tea you can spill. And also we thought it would be fun to talk about what it would be like if the Golden Girls were on Traitors.
I literally, when you texted me this, I immediately texted you my response, which I have theories. I have many theories about where the girls will be at on Traitors.
I do too. And we'll also be asking all of you to let us know, because every time we do these posts, you all weigh in the comments and we love it. But we'll obviously
love, you know what I love? Because
I love the discussions, but we'll want to know what you think too.
I have so much anxiety over like social media responses and stuff because everyone calls me the F word like every other day. But I don't see a lot of response, even though I know I would never be called that on the Patreon. I know that. But I don't get it, but I get emails. I get emails from, because I guess it goes to my account. And I don't know how that works, but I get the emails and I see the comments and they make me so happy because they're just so like not unhinged, but they are kind of unhinged in the best kind of way. In a weird way, whenever we post on Patreon, it is sort of like everyone is also hosting that Patreon, and they're all like, everyone is a host of the Patreon.
Exactly. It's kind of that's how I feel. Everybody's a host. Yeah. You always get the most specific Golden Girls references. You'll literally have like an entire chain of people talking about like Uncle Fingerbinger, which was, you know what I mean? Which was a character in a story that Dorothy told about St. Olaf. Like it's so amazing.
If you subscribe, even at the $5 level, you will be privy to the enjoyment of the comment thread every single week and day, which is just
we have a lot of great
delightful
discussions over there.
Yeah, we do. So should we get to the episode?
Yes, I am chomping at the bit to talk about it.
I just did that with Penn Badgley. I'll tell you after the break.
What?
Yeah. Okay, that noise I made, and I mentioned Penn Badgley. I have to say, so I just, on the Parting Shot podcast, I just interviewed Penn for the final season of You. And when I told Michael and his sister that I was interviewing him, they got really excited. Well, I was just say his sister got really excited. But then they, for like a good amount of time, were kept doing the noise that he makes in Easy A when he's, I think, the woodchuck. I think it is. He's like the mascot in Easy A, and he's the woodchuck, and the woodchuck goes. And so when I started my chat with Penn, I had to say that I suffered through a good half hour of hearing two people go, and that's how I professionally started my conversation with the acclaimed actor Penn Badgley. But yeah,
and I'm sure it will be in the pot. It will, of course,
be already out. It's already out. You can go listen to it. Yes,
that's amazing. What was his reaction to that?
He laughed and he apologized. And then we talked about Gossip Girl, and then I was like, I don't give a fuck about Gossip Girl. I care that you were the bully on Will and Grace, and that a flamboyant homosexual, Jack McFarlane, had to put you in your place.
Wow. What season was that? I'll have to go back and watch.
I forget what season, but he was a kid. It was his first thing. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's exciting. Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He's fun. He's really fun.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah. Anyway, we should get the Golden Girls.
Yeah, we should talk about the Golden. This is an episode about Gossip Girls.
I did it.
It's okay. They both have girls in the title. It's adjacent.
Yeah.
So if we all remember from the last time we saw Becky, Blanche was struggling to deal with her engagement to Jeremiah. They've always had problems, but this week Becky's in Miami. Her and Blanche have been bonding all week. They're, getting along really well. They're telling each other everything that's going on in their lives. Yeah. Things couldn't be going better when Becky drops a bit of a big one on Blanche.
Isn't that always the way it is, though? That when things are just going so, that's why I'm always very skeptical of things are so great right now. Things are going wonderful because I just know that shoe's going to drop. Is that the expression?
Yeah, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Other shoe to drop.
And I'm like, wait, where did the first shoe go? And why aren't we focused on that?
I mean, maybe the first shoe fell when you're sitting in one of those director's chairs and your feet don't touch the ground, and then you're wearing a shoe that's kind of loose and it's oops, it fell. But then you're too lazy to get out of the chair because you're so comfortable in the chair that the shoe's just there on the ground.
But isn't it better to have
waiting for that other shoe to drop?
But I guess, yeah, if you're sitting, it makes sense. But otherwise, I'm like, you either want to wear two shoes or no shoes. If you're wearing one shoe and no shoe, then you're kind of hobbling and it's not as comfortable.
You as a small person, because you are shorter than me, and yeah. I'm of all of our friends and people in our lives, I'm usually the taller one, with the exception of some people in my life, and I rarely get the sensation of sitting on a couch and my feet don't touch the ground. But when it happens, I feel I just feel like I'm so tiny.
Yeah, you feel like a little kid. You shake your feet.
But I will say, I was recording episodes in studio of The Parting Shot, and I was in a chair that also my feet didn't touch the ground. And I looked at myself on the monitor, and I looked a little bit who's that Martin Short character that he wears the fat suit and stuff?
Jiminy Glick?
Yeah, I looked like Jiminy Glick in a chair.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, if the shoe fits, I don't know. I'm just throwing out analogies now. So I would love to play this clip because Blanche has a great joke on it, but also this is the big one that Becky drops on her.
Yeah, the big one.
Mama, I'm getting impregnated on Monday. I've decided the best thing for me is to go to a sperm bank and get artificially inseminated.
Why would you do something like this just to hurt me?
Mama, try to understand. I can't pass a carriage without looking in. I heard my biological clock ticking so loudly it was keeping me up at night. A baby should be doing that.
But why don't you wait till you get married?
I don't want to get married.
Well, then at least wait until I'm dead.
Kerri, with little Oreo, did you feel your biological clock ticking?
Sort of, because I remember going to my OBGYN when I was 34, and she was like, so are you thinking of having kids someday? And I was like, I don't know, maybe. And she was like, okay, well, she's like, you're going to be 35, and, that's kind of when your ovarian reserve, all your eggs they have, that kind of really starts to go down and gets harder to get pregnant. So she's like, have you thought about freezing your eggs? And I was like, I don't know. And so she was like, well, think about it. And I was like, does it cost a lot of money? And she was like, yeah, kind of. But then Stan and I ultimately decided to do it. We made embryos. But we didn't use them for little Oreo. So, but yeah, certainly there's a clock ticking for me, even though I have embryos, in so much as, I'm now 23. What do we say? 28, 23. Yeah. That's how old we are.
Let's say 29, because we've been 29, 28.
No. So I'm older now. And the idea of, and our fertility doctor had said this, the idea of, she's like, just imagine being 50 and chasing a little kid around. Are you really going to want to do that? And I already feel like my body's starting to fall apart. So I feel like there's a clock in so much as my body falls apart as I continue to get a little bit older, am I going to want to be chasing a child and picking up a child?
Diane Keaton had a kid at 50.
Oh, and it can be done. It can be done. Absolutely. I just don't want that for me.
Too. I mean, she can afford it. Other people can pick up her kids.
I mean, she has barn doors out the wazoo in her house. She's got giant doors that make you very strong. You make kids strong by getting them to open that barn door.
I went to my doctor recently and I was like, I don't know if this is just me getting older, but it hurts when I sit and when I lay down. That seems to be like counterintuitive of how you're supposed to be relaxing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what to do, but I can only relax standing up working.
Yeah, this is what happens to your body when you get a little bit older.
And lazy, when you're lazy, like me.
Maybe that too.
Yeah.
Blanche's reaction to Becky's news, it's very typical Blanche, mm-hmm. Where she's really only capable of seeing things through her own eyes, like how this will affect her. Yeah. She did it with Clayton.
It is wild to me that a medical decision that will likely never be discussed again, meaning like the process in which she gets pregnant, that will likely never come up in conversation. Her being a single mother will be something that is apparent, but the way in which I don't know what exactly Blanche is more upset about, the fact that she's going to be a single mother or the fact that it seems like the fact that she's going in the IVF direction, which that's shocking to her, which no one will know about Blanche.
Well, but here's the thing. So we obviously know that Blanche is concerned with how people see her, right? And if one of her friends were to see Becky and little Aurora, they would say like, oh, so, and who's the daddy? Or, oh, and does she have and it would be one thing if you said, oh, I'm divorced, but Becky would be transparent and say, oh, actually the father is a sperm donor.
Yeah.
So I think organically it would come out in conversation. And I think that's what concerns Blanche, because it is so unconventional and
you don't have
she's
to
worried
say
about being judged.
Donor. I mean, I don't think anyone who just casually at a party is talking about grandchildren would just be like, yep, that's donated sperm. Like, really, it could just be like, oh, there's no father. Like, mm-hmm. And you don't have to go into a conversation about, just like I don't have to tell everyone I have one testicle.
Mm-hmm.
It's apparent when you see how small it looks.
I do like the color of that mug.
Thank you. My Tiana's kitchen mug.
It's very beautiful. It's a nice mint green.
I know.
Yeah, I think, and you know what? That could have been a conversation that the two of them had.
Yeah, but no, Blanche has to shut it down. Blanche is
shuts it down.
Really, I mean, it's very funny. Blanche is very funny in this episode, but it does really bother me how just sort of obtuse she is about the whole thing.
Well, I mean, she's not self-aware at all. Like, I think it's, in her speech where she's like, you know how many times when you were a baby crying, I'd have to get up out of bed and grope around for my slippers and make my way downstairs in the dark to scream for the governess.
Yeah. Like, I mean, this woman
is like,
get
your own baby out of her crib. Like,
yeah. So no. I mean, but the other women what I like about the other women's reactions is that they get it. They get that it's good for her. It's mm-hmm. okay for her to make these decisions, but they're also kind of like, it was a little icky.
Yeah. I do love, like, that night, the quote cheesecake scene. It's not a cheesecake scene. It's all the food is out on the table scene mm-hmm. where she laments to Rose and Dorothy. I love that it's just a bunch of plates with saran wrap over it. Like, do you remember before the days of everybody, and I know Tupperware's been around for a long time, don't come at me in the comments, but I don't know, maybe when I was growing up, we did not use Tupperware for some reason. We would just take plates, the big glass dinner plates, and you'd load everything up on a plate and you put saran wrap over it and put it in the fridge.
We didn't. We were Tupperware. We were very much a Tupperware family. And so much so that we had that drawer of which I now have, that drawer of just Tupperware that never has the proper lid.
That's the worst. You got to start numbering them. That's what I do.
It's just never going to happen.
Yeah, no, I know. It's a whole system. You have to come, and then you lose a piece and then you're like, okay, well now I have, what am I going to do? Yeah, the numbering becomes a whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the women all have like an ew reaction, when it comes to, and I think for them, it's probably just like, oh, you're going to put a stranger's sperm inside of your body.
Yeah, but here's the thing too on that, like, sure, it's a stranger's sperm, but it's a vetted stranger's sperm. I mean,
yeah.
Like it's like, you get a heart transplant or a liver transplant or any of the things. It's like, they are from strangers, like, but it works. You hope it works.
What kind of characteristics would you want if you were to get a sperm or egg donor if like theoretically you're going to have a child?
Yeah.
What would you want the characteristics of that person? Like, what would be important to you?
I'd want him to be in a band. I'd want him to marry an older black woman. I'd want him to be named Michael, and I'd want him to be divorced from that older black woman and to be kind of a putz, but good with his shirt off.
Okay, so very specific.
Yeah, I would
attributes.
I would gladly be Michael's cuckold. I would gladly be whatever Michael wants me to be within the relationship he has with any woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's that. What about? I mean, you also don't need a sperm donor because we know that Stan is just to the moon. But what would you look for?
Well, I don't know, actually. I think, yeah, just someone that is healthy, and I feel like I would want someone who, I don't know.
See, I would always,
I really don't know. I'd want to see what the questionnaire looks like.
I mean, cancer killed my sperm, but I would never go in the direction of actually having a biological child, only because A, I'm a firm believer in adoption and the need for more people to adopt, but also B, and I know I probably said this on this podcast before, but I know when that 14-year-old who's going through those teenage years comes to me and they're like, I hate the way I look. I can just be like, you look amazing, and it's not my fault. I had nothing to do with your DNA.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't want to pass these pores on to, you know how much work I do covering up parts of my face? Like, yeah. I don't want to pass that on to people. This ends with me. It ends with us.
The lineage, I'm cutting off the bloodline.
I mean,
because
all
of
my
pores.
brothers have like 1.5 million kids, and half of them look a little frightening at the end of a hallway. So, like, God forbid I make another one and scare more people at the end of hallways. So keep them. I don't need any of them.
I think all kids are beautiful in a non-creepy way.
Well, they're beautiful, but creepy.
There are so many. I mean, God, I should just show you the drawing. You can't really see it here, but little Oreo is just obsessed with drawing people that are angry and then broken things all around them.
This is what I'm saying. Kids are creepy. They're beautiful, but they're creepy.
I love it. I love how she's like, I'm going to be weird.
Her
and
favorite movie is Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, I mean, this girl is going to be scary, and I love it.
I love it. All she wants to do is scare kids. I love it. I'm obsessed with her.
Yeah.
She's being her. I always tell her, I never want you to be anybody but you, babe.
Yeah.
A lot of great lines in this episode. I love Blanche where they're talking about buying sperm and she goes, buy? Sperm used to be free. It was all over the place.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong.
And of course, Rose has a story about about cows being artificially inseminated. This was the original AI, by the way. And she says at one point, you haven't seen anything until you've seen a frustrated cow. And put that on like a cross stitch for me. Hang it up.
I know. I know.
And again, this whole scene, it's so brilliant. It's when they're talking about how half of the fun of getting pregnant is in the process. And this is where we get really horny Sophia and Rose about times they were out in public, the mood hit, they just couldn't help themselves.
I love that if back in the day, like Sophia had a little camera, she would be like top 1% OnlyFans, because it sounds like she was hitting it in a way that would have been a very popular Twitter feed.
And she's so funny too.
She's so I mean, the fact that she's just laying there in a baseball cap, just kind of, that image is so funny to me.
Well, that and Sal taking her behind the sausage and pepper stand at the San Gennaro Festival,
which is so hot. Like, it is it is such a kink to not only A, do that in public, but B, behind the sausage stand.
Mm-hmm. And then Rose and Charlie with the sandwiches, like, we forgot to put cheese between us, and 9 months later there was Kirsten.
Which also, the fact that Charlie is just rubbing up on Rose, she doesn't even realize he's in her.
I mean,
like, that to me is love.
When it's
a well-loved woman.
It is unsettling when Dorothy talks about it. Dorothy and Sophia have made these jokes before where Dorothy's like, I wasn't even conscious. She's like, he must have slipped me something. And Sophia's like, apparently so. And it's like, it's a joke, but
it is icky, but it's also like, She doesn't seem traumatized. So like,
it's also so Stan. It is such a Stan thing.
Well,
I like to think that Stan got better about that.
I don't think it is actually so Stan. This joke, it is actually wild to me that they did. I get the intent of the joke because it is a funny joke. I mean, it is very much in line with what Dorothy would be saying, but I also don't feel like it's in line with Stan. Stan is not like that. He's eager, but he's not a predator.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, plus we've heard different versions of how she got pregnant, so I just like to pretend that this one isn't the truth.
There's one from the past that he talks about how when she found out she was pregnant, he said he was going away. He said he was going away on some war or something, and that's why he wanted to sleep with her, and so she slept with him. Like, there was that story as well. So like, there's been lots of stories about how this all went down.
Yeah. And I also like that, again, the other women are trying to kind of normalize this for Blanche, and Dorothy's like, look, the point is all of our children were kind of conceived in unconventional ways. So like, why isn't this any different, Blanche?
Yeah. And also Blanche, no offense, you a hoe, girl. Like, trust me, let your girl get her semen. How's she gonna get her semen? You've been getting the semen the way you've been getting your semen for years.
Yeah.
Like, she's done something at the Rusty Anchor bathroom, let's just say. But speaking of that mental image, we have to take a break, so enjoy that, and then we'll be right back with more Blanche being a hoe.
So despite the women, trying to normalize this for Blanche, it's clear she still doesn't want to be a part of it, because the next morning, Becky is still trying to get Blanche excited about it. She's like, I want you to be a part of it. And she's like, you're setting yourself up for trouble. What man's going to want to marry a woman with a baby? And it's like, one, plenty. Two, she already said she didn't want to get married. So
let me back up on that a little bit. I do think a legitimate concern is going to be future prospects, because let's just be real. Like, there are plenty of men, sure, that would gladly have a relationship with a woman who just had a newborn that wasn't his. I do believe they're out there. I don't believe it's plenty, though. I do think it's a smaller pool that would go when the child's a little bit older, maybe. But for the next foreseeable future, for the next few years, I don't think she's gonna, and I don't think she's worried about dating for the next foreseeable years. She's not.
I think that's the point, is that right now for her, it's more important to have a baby than to have a romantic partner. And I think she's totally fine doing it on her own.
And I think that should be sort of like the outlook here, is that like, dating will come later. Men will come later. The child comes right now. This is the order I'm doing it. I'm not worried about that man, which to me is a great reaction from Blanche, because that's a line that Blanche has never said in her life, ever.
Yeah. So, ultimately, and this is like the act break moment, Becky's like, look, if you're not on board with this, then you're going to lose me and my grandchild, which is basically what happened to Dorothy in season 3 with Michael and Lorraine. And unfortunately, there was never any mention of Michael and Lorraine's baby after that episode, because this episode actually would have been a great opportunity for a Blanche Dorothy advice scene at the end, where Dorothy reminds Blanche, like, at first she too is struggling to deal with the way her grandbaby was conceived. But, the first time she held, baby Lamar, she fell in love. She's so glad she didn't make that huge mistake. And ultimately the story at the end is, it fell kind of flat for me. She's just like, Dorothy goes, I wanted to be a school teacher, and Pops wanted me to be a mortician. And he had to realize that I was old enough to make my own choices. And it was like, that's fine. But I think the writers really missed an opportunity to call back Dorothy's situation with Michael and Lorraine and a future grandchild.
Yeah, but I think that just goes to the era of sitcoms. And like,
yeah, no, I know, but
they weren't, even though Becky was a returning character, it wasn't necessarily, because this was the first new Becky episode, right? No. Yes.
This was the first new Becky episode, but they did mention, Michael and Lorraine breaking up in a future episode. So
yeah, true.
Yeah. Okay, so now I want to get to the next morning. We have a great clip to play here because Betty White has she just gives a look. I know we always credit B. Arthur with giving the looks that are just so funny.
No,
but it's a small reaction to something that Blanche says. So I really hope if you can watch the video version of it or just watch this episode because it's so funny.
So funny.
Can I fix you some breakfast, honey?
No, thanks. Oh, I just feel terrible. If I'm gonna spend the night tossing and turning, at least I want to wake up smelling like aftershave.
Morning.
Good morning, Rebecca.
I got up early and did some research. There's a sperm bank not far from here.
How convenient.
After Blanche says aftershave.
Yeah.
Rose's face.
You know what confused me about this?
What's that?
And this is like a NCI situation that you often find, but I thought of in this moment. NCIS, is that what it is? I don't know.
Yeah, they do like military, like on the water, like Navy.
I don't know.
Crimes, yeah.
But so if it's morning, I'm assuming it's probably like 8, 9, maybe 10 even.
Yeah.
She walks in with brochures. So does that mean that she got up? She clearly got herself together. She got up around 6 a.m. and drove around Greater Miami to pick up brochures for how many sperm banks are there that have brochures like that available that early in the morning?
Back then, probably every single one.
But that early in the morning? She's going into hospitals. You know how hard it is to park at a hospital?
Are all sperm banks inside hospitals?
I don't imagine they're in old Chick-fil-A's.
Maybe. Here's the way I look at it. Yes, they are probably open early because like you got to go drop a sample off before you get to your 9 to 5. I could see it.
Trust me.
Them being open at 7.
Men can do it on a lunch break.
Well, maybe not all. Maybe some work through their lunch breaks. I don't know. I could see them wanting to be flexible.
Yeah, I just found her coming in with brochures. I just wish like she just came in and be like, so I have these brochures of these sperm banks, these lovely sperm banks in the area.
It's also possible because she's been there all week. It's also possible that she knew Blanche was going to say this and she had a plan laid out. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel for Rebecca in this moment. Like, even though Blanche has been treating her a certain way and being like very not cool with the whole thing, like Becky is still trying to make her feel comfortable with it by being like, let's go check one out. You can see they're legitimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love, there's a Blanche joke where she goes, what will the neighbors think if they see me going in there? And Dorothy goes, that you're picking something up for a much younger person.
I can't wait. We're getting to the clip. One of my favorite two-hitter jokes in this episode that you think it's a Dorothy joke, but it actually turns into a Blanche joke.
Yeah, it's a great, great moment.
Where Blanche eventually agrees to go to the sperm bank.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Yeah.
And the fact that I just love this moment. Let's just play it.
Oh, I guess. What does one wear to a sperm bank?
Something attractive in rubber.
I have that.
What I love about that joke is that time is really precious in a sitcom. Like you don't want to spend a lot of time for someone to wait for laughter to die down to do the actual punchline of the joke of the scene.
You want to keep the energy up.
Exactly. And so, but in this moment, you have Dorothy saying her line, which of course gets a massive laugh and people are applauding. And she even does the cup thing where she says the line and then she goes, and now I'll have a sip of my tea.
I love when she does that.
She just has which is just so like a Dorothy joke one hitter. And then Blanche comes in.
Her mother was a slut too. And then she goes, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. And then Blanche comes in with, well, I have that, which is like, which it gets an even bigger laugh, and then that's the end of the scene. But there's so much time.
There's so much time until you just played it again. Now I was like, oh yeah, I didn't realize how much time is in between those two jokes. Yeah, it's such a funny scene. There's Sophia has a line too. She goes like, "Oh boy, we're going to the sperm bank. Like nothing better to pep up the day." Like I love how excited she is.
Sophia at the sperm bank, which we're getting to next, is quite literally me in every gay setting. In any gay bar, I am the most especially in drag. I am the most inappropriate. I'm cracking little whispered jokes to people next to me. If there's like a go-go I need to make fun of, I'm like saying things,
asking inappropriate questions.
Yes, it is just me at a gay bar.
I want to point something out that I feel like most people are probably going to think is boring. So maybe this is the chance now for you to, I don't know, pay attention to whatever else you're doing, like folding laundry or doing dishes. So the outside of the sperm bank, that exterior shot.
It's like shaky.
Was it?
Yeah.
So someone on IMDb posted that said, on IMDb on the trivia, they said, the establishing shot of the sperm bank is a view of an office building at 1000 Bishop Street at the corner of South King Street in Honolulu, Hawaii. And I was like, bullshit. That's just somebody being like, I'm going to put a fun fake trivia thing in. And I went ahead and I Googled it and I did the little street view around and I'll text it to you. They were right. Some eagle-eyed person was watching an episode of The Golden Girls and they were like, that kind of looks like my office building or whatever. And then they just threw it up on IMDb and it was an accepted as true fact. And it was actually true. So if you do a Google search for that, it's there. So whatever eagle-eyed person put that there, well done. And I'm sorry I doubted you.
Ye of little faith.
Yep. So we're at the sperm bank. And I don't know
we're going to the sperm bank.
We're going to the sperm bank. Whenever I see an elevator open and close on a TV show, there is no suspension of disbelief for me. I'm like, I know there are 1 to 2 humans physically just going, like awkwardly pushing those doors open and closed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just watching it and I feel like you can tell that there's people awkwardly trying to like move these like cardboard doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was also surprised that Blanche didn't wear a disguise to the sperm bank.
Like glasses because doesn't she?
Yeah, like a veil or something.
Doesn't she do that in another episode at the top? No. Maybe I'm not. Maybe Blanche. I forget. No, maybe Rose does.
Well, in the Golden Palace, there's an episode where she's like, I'm not going to use my looks and my sex appeal to get something. And she dresses like a schoolmarm.
Yes. But I think that might be what I'm thinking of. Yeah. No, I love all of the stories in this scene.
So good. Like, can you imagine being in this waiting room where you have like Sophia harassing a man filling out paperwork who's about to give sperm?
Bet this is better than giving blood.
Yeah, you've got Rose telling a story about sperm swimming across the ocean. You've got Blanche who's literally like looking for sperm on the armchairs when she gets there. Like I'd be like, am I on?
Can't live outside. And the fact that Becky goes to that Blanche is worried about sperm being on a chair, which frankly, I mean, in drag sometimes I see things and I'm like, I'm not sitting there. And because you just know. So like I can actually relate to Blanche in this situation. But the fact that Becky then goes, I think it was Becky, maybe it was Doherty, goes, sperm can't live outside the body. We know. Like
it doesn't matter. That's not the concern.
I don't want to sit in sperm. I don't care that it's alive or dead. Like the swimmers might be dead. The spunk is still there.
Yeah, it's a very innocuous thing.
Hardened sperm could snag a tight. And you know she's wearing tights.
Yeah, you know she's wearing some pantyhose. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So they finally get called in to see Dr. Manning, who explains the process, how they screen all the applicants. But
did you find it funny that a sperm doctor was named Dr. Manning?
A little bit.
Because it's like he's Manning, you know?
Yeah, you're Manning your man meat or whatever.
Your man meat, yeah.
You're manning your man meat. Put that on a t-shirt.
If you're watching the video, I apologize for what I just did on camera.
For doing a little jerk off motion.
Yes.
Yeah, his name just might as well have been like Dr. Manhandle DDS or whatever.
Dr. Manning, the number one sperm bank in Greater Miami. Come on down. Literally, emphasis on come.
Oh, it just sounds like a different version of Stan doing his Sporny commercial. Just that used car salesman. And for a limited time only.
Come! Hurry before it dies outside the body.
We're having a red light sale. What is it, those things? A red light special.
Oh, you need inspiration. Sophia's wearing baseball hats.
Yeah. How many people have stopped listening at this point?
No, I think they're actively listening at this point.
They're like, my children are in the room. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There is a great moment that Blanche has when, again, she's still struggling to accept everything. She's taken these baby steps like, okay, I'll go to the sperm bank, but she still can't accept it. And she goes, this feels like a dream. Yet I know it can't be a dream because there are no boy dancers.
Which is so me too.
Boy dancers. The fact that the joke was boy dancers, like all I thought of were go-go dancers.
Go-go boys.
Yeah, boy dancers was so funny to hear Blanche say. That was just a really good joke because there are no boy dancers.
I think I would say go-go boy as well. I think so. I always, in all of my acts, I have the same go-go boy, Jean-Paul. I think you maybe have met Jean-Paul.
Yeah. At the mid-century modern taping, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Yes, he was there. Yeah, no, he's one of my favorites. He's in every Sadie number. I always make him do inappropriate things. It's lovely. He has a wonderful tuchus. So, you know, go follow Mr. Jean-Paul.
I recall him being very handsome.
He's very handsome.
Jean-Paul.
But he loves the dolls. He loves the girls, which is like what you want in a good go-go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because some go-go's, they're just like, I'm the star of the show. And it's like, we know you got a dick. But I'm the one who put on all the makeup. So, like, I'm the star of this show. Thank you.
It would be like a guest star coming in on the Golden Girls and being like, I'm the star. And you're like,
yeah.
Well, in this case, also, the girls are the star of the show.
Yes, exactly.
There's also, again, this episode has so many great jokes. I wanted to play so many more clips, but I don't want to burden you. But there's one where Blanche says to Becky, you are a Devereaux, and a Devereaux doesn't pay for it. And Dorothy turns to the doctor and goes, she usually relies on the kindness of strangers.
So good.
It's just so many good jokes. So many good jokes.
Jokes on jokes on jokes.
Jokes on jokes on jokes on jokes. So then back at home, Becky's about to leave for the airport, and Blanche is out on the Lanai plug, sunning herself. Which, like, come on, Blanche. Like, be a grown-up. Fix the situation.
No. She needs to get that. She needs to get that glow for her date later.
Yeah. So this is when Dorothy, again, tells the story just about how when she was younger, she wanted to be a teacher. Sal wanted her to be a mortician and and whatever. The point was, like, you know, you're never going to see your grandchild, and Becky's a grown up, and you got to let her make her own decisions. And
which is so true.
And so the sorry from Blanche, I thought was actually really funny when Becky comes out. She's like, like she just can't say the word.
I just love that they never allow the character of Blanche to actually say they're sorry. Like, I think that actually is a great ongoing character trait that
because they've done this a few times.
Yeah, there was that famous scene where it's just those two little words that I hate to say, and then Rose goes, not tonight, which is like it's just like Blanche really struggles with apologizing, which I think is such a great ongoing character trait.
Yeah, and it feels very consistent with who she is and who she's been throughout this episode, where you know, there's a lot of pride there. And so when she's like, and then I forget who says it, it's Dorothy or Rose, they go like, sorry. And she goes, yes, that.
Yeah.
So yeah, then, you know, she offers to drive Becky to the airport, and she's like, you know, let's think of baby names on the way. And it was a really sweet way to end the episode.
Yeah, well, and then they also ended it with another, ooh.
Yeah, which like... Okay.
I'm into it. No, I want more of the girls going, ooh. It is similar to me saying to Penn, nom, 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 nom. Like, it's just, like, I should have ended my interview with Penn going, nom, 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 nom.
Oh, I love this episode, though. It's so good. I love it. Same.
Go out there and get your sperm, baby. Ew. Should we take a break and come back with our golden takeaways?
I think so.
Okay, bye. Love you. And we are back with our golden takeaways, which is a nugget of truth or inspiration that you, dear listener, can apply to your life or the lives of our listeners. So, Kerri, what's your golden takeaway for this episode?
My golden takeaway is that for people who can get pregnant, the biological clock is a real thing if you want to birth children, if you want to use your own eggs, etc. And freezing eggs, making embryos, like, it's not cheap. The storage isn't cheap. And so I think that puts a lot of people in a tough situation. And I think that it would be really nice to see, and I feel like I'm sure other countries do this too. I feel like we have friends who live in Norway, and IVF is totally free for anybody who wants to do it.
Wouldn't
but I think that
be nice.
I think that everyone who is pregnant, when they turn 21, it would be so great if people who can get pregnant had the option of freezing their eggs when they turn 21. If they're like on the fence or know they want to have kids someday but don't want to feel that pressure, they should be able to freeze their eggs. It should be cheap. It should be free. And then that way they don't have to feel those unnecessary pressures of biological clocks, of money, of that sort of thing. So I'm putting it out there into the universe and hoping that someday that's a reality for all of us in this country and in other countries as well.
I agree. My golden takeaway is more of a thank you, is not to you. That it's going to get gross. So when I was going through the traumatic event of cancer and chemo, I had to do a moment where you freeze the situation. And I went early in the morning to the place, and it was at a hospital. And you go into a little medical room and you have a moment with a cup. But the problem was, like most other, red-blooded, cis-born male people, I need visual stimulants to be able to make a moment happen, especially at 6 a.m. because, I'm of an age. I don't wake up ready to go anymore. I'm more like, give me a minute. And so I needed something, but I got no phone reception in this part of the hospital, just like a typical hospital. You know what I mean? I didn't get any reception. So I couldn't pull up any inspiration. And I looked around left and right, and there were just pamphlets on, like, kids and shit, which is just not what you want to go in. So I had to figure out a way. How am I going to make this happen? How am I going to deposit this? And then on the television screen, anchoring the news that morning, was a Mr. Don Lemon from CNN back then. And so I had to use Don Lemon, who later came out of the closet. So maybe. And I had to use Don Lemon in order to deposit this sample. And I just want to take this moment right now to officially thank you, Don Lemon, for giving me the opportunity to make that deposit. It wouldn't have been possible without you. Thank you.
We thank you
so much.
He helped you squeeze your lemon. You guys
and now
made
we follow
lemonade.
each other on Instagram. I just found that out the other day.
Wow. Well, I
didn't know he was following me. I think he liked something. I don't know. I found out the other day that he's following me, and I was like, oh, cool. Okay.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
Maybe we should put a hashtag.
No.
No, we won't do that to Don Lemon. Oh my gosh, everyone. This has been another episode of Out on the Lanai. We thank you all so much for listening. And remember, if you want to join the GGVIP Club, you can do that over at patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast. You get so much fun stuff over there.
This was such a fun episode. I want to say. We're also a part of Mom Moguls of Media, where you can go subscribe to Mom Plus and all of the wonderful things at Mommy Mommies. You can also follow us on social media at Golden Girls Pod on Twitter, Out on the Lanai Official on Instagram, Golden Girls Pod on Facebook, and I am HAlanScott / Sadie Pines on everything.
And I'm Squidsy on Instagram and Squid Eat Squid on Twitter. And if you want to do something else nice for the podcast, you can leave us a rating and review wherever you get this podcast, because it helps more people discover this podcast and join our lovely kick-ass community of Golden Girls fans.
And remember,
as always,
stay golden. Call me Don Lemon.
Don't tell Michael. Or tell Michael.
Yeah, we're fine. He's fine. Yeah.
Out on the Lanai is not endorsed by Whit Thomas Harris Productions, Touchstone Television, Disney, or any of its subsidiaries. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, audio, and video clips of the Golden Girls are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.